Welcome back to List Jumbo. The buildings on this list are the rebels of architecture, the renegades of design, and the revolutionaries of construction. Today's post is on the top 10 most unusual buildings. Number 10 on our list is the Atomium, a building located in Brussels, which essentially looks like a giant-sized science-themed toy. Originally constructed for the Brussels World Fair in 1988, this building was not built to last. In fact, it was scheduled to be torn down once the fair had ended. But the popularity of this building and public protest caused city officials to rethink their decision. One look at the Atomium and you can see why. With its 9 giant spheres and 20 connecting rods, this giant replica of an iron crystal unit is no joke. Standing at over 102 meters and designed by engineer Andre Waterkane, the Atomium has since become a popular attraction and boasts a number of museum exhibits. Furthermore, this feat of modern architecture is so unique that its silhouette has never been copied anywhere in the world, ever, which is why it warrants a place on our top 10 list of most unusual buildings. Moving on to number 9 on our list of top 10 most unusual buildings, we are hopping over to the heart of Abu Dhabi, where the unusual tilt of the Capital Gate makes its mark on the skyline. The Capital Gate, aka the Leaning Tower of Abu Dhabi, leans 18 degrees to the west and holds the Guinness World Record for the farthest man-made leaning building. Towering at a whopping 35 stories, the Capital Gate is one of the tallest buildings in the city, even if it is crooked. Architects and structural engineers at RMJM had their work cut out for them with this creation. The lean of the building was achieved by employing an engineering technique called pre-cambering, which essentially staggers the floor one by one, 300 millimeters to 400 millimeters. Worried that the building might topple? Don't be. It's reinforced with a core of concrete steel and anchored into the ground by 490 piles. Want to know what it feels like to stay in a leaning building? Then go ahead and book yourself a room here. The Capital Gate is a hotel where the guests can experience for themselves the strange and unusual experience of staying in a building that leans a little farther than it should. Next up, we're heading over to Cornwall, England for number 8 on our list. Ever wondered what a giant inflatable building would look like? Then look no further. This is the Eden Project, a strange building that has earned its spot on our list due to its unusual construction. The Eden Project, which is basically a greenhouse on steroids, was created by Nicholas Grimshaw. This unusual building is made up of inflated hexagonal and pentagonal plastic cells. The cells are connected and supported by steel frames, giving the entire building the appearance of something that belongs in a sci-fi movie. Want to go inside? Sure. The Eden Project is open to the public, and guests can wander through the 2 adjoining domes to peruse the thousands of plant species that grow there. The Eden Project has also become a popular venue for a plethora of events, including the popular music series, The Eden Sessions. The Eden Project also hosted the 2012 World Pastry Championships, and was the primary filming location for the well-known movie, James Bond: Die Another Day. Number 7 on our list is not just an unusual building, it's an unusual building with an even more unusual story. The Ideal Palace, found in France, was built by hand by a French postman named Ferdinand Cheval. Apparently Cheval spent 33 years collecting stones while on his post route. He then used those stones to build the palace, one stone at a time, sticking the stones together with lime, mortar, and cement. And as if that weren't unusual enough, the building itself follows no real architectural design. He literally just put the stones wherever he wanted, which is why the Ideal Palace demands a place on this list. Today, the Ideal Palace is a popular tourist destination, as guests flock to the palace to marvel at the intricate design and unusual structure of the building. The Ideal Palace is also a favorite among surrealists, and it's not hard to imagine why. A palace built by hand? Surreal. Speaking of surreal, number 6 on our list, the Dancing House, is a surreal representation of a strange and beautiful concept. Designed by architect Vlado Mulinik and Frank Gehry, the idea behind the Dancing House was to convey, in a building, the whimsy of two people dancing. One look at this unusual building, and you'll agree that it deserves a spot on this list. Furthermore, the house was met with a lot of controversy when it was first built, as its deconstructivist architecture doesn't exactly fit with its Baroque, Gothic, and Art Nouveau neighbors. So it's not just unusual in construction, the architecture is also unusual to Prague. Nonetheless, the house piqued both the imagination and curiosity of the public, and has since become a much-loved staple to the people of Prague. In fact, the shape of the building is featured on a gold Czech koruna coin. One more cool thing about the Dancing House? It employs an optical illusion. Take a closer look. See how it appears taller than the building beside it? It's not. The Dancing House has 2 rows of windows along the top, which trick us into thinking that there are actually 2 more floors. In reality though, it's exactly the same height as the building beside it. We've already seen 5 unusual buildings, but our next building, number 5, might take the cake when it comes to unusual conception and purpose. The Mold Gakuen, aka the Cocoon Tower in Tokyo, Japan, is a building that's meant to mimic a giant cocoon. The cocoon-like design is attributed to the white aluminum and dark blue glass exterior. But why create a building that looks like a cocoon? Well, the Cocoon Tower was designed by the Tang Associates, and was designated to be an educational building. The Tang Associates came up with the concept of a cocoon because they wanted students inside the building to feel safe and nurtured. So not only is the design of the building unusual, but the concept of students entering a giant cocoon to learn is also a little strange. In any case, the Cocoon Tower stands at 50 stories high, making it not only the most unusual educational building in the world, but also the second tallest, reinforcing its spot on our top 10 list. From the strange to the beautiful, we head over to India now to explore which is arguably the most visited building in the world. Want to worship in a giant flower? Then enter the Lotus Temple, a strange and unusual building that literally replicates a giant lotus. Number 4 on our list, the Lotus Temple is located in Delhi, India, and is comprised of 27 marble petals, making it a must-have on our list of unusual buildings. The Lotus Temple is a Baha'i house of worship, welcoming guests of any religion or domination. This giant flower is the brainchild of architects Farbor Sabah and the structural engineer Flint and Neil. It first opened its doors in 1986, and has since housed millions of visitors. The main room of the Lotus Temple has a whopping 2,500 person capacity, and people from all over the world have entered the temple to marvel at its unusual and beautiful structural design. Number 3 on our list of top 10 unusual buildings will have you wondering what it would look like if giants wandered the earth, or at least what their baskets might look like. The Basket Building in Newark, Ohio, is exactly what it sounds like, a giant building that looks like a basket. Standing at 7 stories, this 180,000 square foot building is a humongous real-life replica of the baskets that were once manufactured inside its walls. Previously the headquarters for the Longaberger Company, the design for this building came right out of the mind of the company's founder, Dave Longaberger himself. An obvious lover of baskets, Longaberger decided to create a building that looked like a basket. And why not? Isn't that exactly what the world needs? More buildings that look like everyday, trivial objects? It's no wonder that the Basket Building is on this list. It's so strange, both as a popular Newark landmark and as a nod to novelty architecture. Winding down with number 2, we're heading over to Orlando, Florida, for a building that may leave you scratching your head. Now, if you were standing on your head, this building would be right side up. But because you're likely right side up, this building is clearly upside down. The Wonderworks, designed by architect Terrio Nicholson, looks like a building that has been torn from the ground and dropped back down, upside down. And the unusual architecture of this building cannot be overlooked. In fact, our list of unusual buildings couldn't possibly be complete unless we included a building that literally reverses expectation. Don't worry though, the inside is right side up. Wonderworks is an entertainment funhouse inside, with interactive exhibits and exciting activities galore. In fact, it's so popular that 5 more of these upside-down wonders have been built throughout the US, all of them upside down. Or right side up, if you're upside down. Which brings us to the last entry on our top 10 most unusual buildings. The Casa da Musica in Porto, Portugal, is a polygon-shaped building that looks about as odd as a building possibly can. In fact, it doesn't even really look like a building at all. It looks more like a child's failed attempt at a hexagon drawing. Designed by architect Rem Koolhaas, the Casa da Musica is a polyhedron that spans 9 floors and is covered with plaques of white cement. Why have 4 walls when you can have, well, I'm not even exactly sure how many walls this building has. And as unusual as it is from the outside, the unexpected interior views of the Casa da Musica are even more unusual. Its name, Casa da Musica, literally translates into the House of Music. So it's no wonder that this unusual building is home to the Fundação Casa Musica and 3 orchestras. The main auditorium sits 1,300 people and is the only auditorium in the world that has 2 walls made entirely of glass. The strange shape, the strange interior views, and the walls of glass secure this building's spot on our top 10 list of most unusual buildings. Check out our previous upload on the top 10 most secluded homes on Earth. And in the meantime, be sure to subscribe for more.